Alright, so I'm going to show you how to run a 23/23 on Rogue Lineage. So there's going to be a lot of tools you'll need for this, one of them being Account Manager from IceWolf. What this will do is it'll just allow you to log into a ton of accounts at once. And just hit play. Oops. The second thing you're going to want is Multi-Bloxy by Zigoli. What this does is it lets you run multiple Roblox tabs at once. So what I did was I just downloaded his and put it into shell startup. So you can just hit Windows and the R key at the same time to open this up and just drag it into here. What this will do is it'll start up this program every time you turn your computer on. So you will need to turn this on before you start any Roblox tabs, otherwise it will not work. The next thing is Bloxstrap. This isn't really a necessity, but it makes running a bunch of alt accounts really easy. So for example, if I have like two alts over here running at the same time, and I have a 0-second launch delay, what Bloxstrap will do is it'll wait for, you see, it's waiting for other instances. So it first waited for that first Roblox tab to start up, rather than like turning it off and overriding it, which is what Roblox normally does. The other thing Bloxstrap is useful for is it lets you turn your graphics settings down. So over here in the engine settings, you can turn your anti-aliasing to 1x and your texture quality to 0. The other performance booster you're going to want is MemReduct by this guy. What this will do is it'll cut a bunch of the RAM usage from Roblox. So normally a Rogue Lineage tab will take up about 2 gigabytes. This will cut it down to like 500 megabytes or something. So you're going to need to grant administrative privileges and clean memory. Every time you start your computer or start this up, you're going to have to hit clean memory, otherwise it will not work. So over here, I just have it cleaning only the working set. I don't know what all this rest is, but this works perfectly. And you can set any other settings like cleaning every minute or when it's above this percent. What you're going to want to do is go to the notifications tab though, and just turn off notifications from MemReduct, because every time it cuts the memory, it's going to show up a notification here and it gets really annoying. The other performance booster you're going to want is Process Lasso by Bitsum. So what Process Lasso does is it lets you throttle the CPU usage on whatever you want. So over here, I can go to CPU priorities, and you're going to want to type in Roblox player beta.exe in the process match. You can just set the priority to whatever. And there's a bunch of different settings you can change in here, like what CPU cores you like to run on, and you should definitely put it on efficiency mode as well, and all types of stuff. If you have the free version like me, it'll show a pop-up that you have to wait to close and clear every time. I already had it open, so that's why I didn't show it the pop-up. What you can also do with this is exclude a certain process ID. So if I'm like, just imagine this is Roblox, like a main Roblox tab I have open. I can copy the process ID, go to CPU, priorities or something, and type it in just like this. Then I can set the priorities to something like high, and make sure it's above Roblox player beta, so that this one right here takes priority over this below here. So you could have this be like your main Roblox tab and these be all your alts running poorly. And you will need to change that process ID thing up there every time you start a new main tab, because the process ID is not persistent. So the next thing you're going to want is my settings editor that I made. So what this does is it just lets you edit the Roblox settings like your FPS and graphics without having to turn on Roblox. And why this is useful is if you're running like one alt over here, and let's imagine this one's like on max graphics or something, you have no way of making all these alts run on level 1 graphics and bad settings without turning this all on, putting on the worst settings, then logging out so it saves the settings and you can log into all these. So this just makes it a whole lot easier, plus you can set the FPS to a custom number without having to edit the XML file manually by hand. So to install that, you'll just download the zip, open it up, and drag and drop this into your desktop. The app is self-contained, so it's just one exe. And over here are 2 auto hotkey scripts you'll need. So if you don't have auto hotkey, you can download it from here. And you're going to want to get the 2.0 version over here, because these scripts are in 2.0. So what this one does is, I got this script originally from another YouTube video, but it didn't really work so well. My accounts were still DC, so I had ChatGPT just make it better, and I actually make sure that the Roblox window is like focused and stuff, that this is all rendering before it sends an input. So I used that and it worked pretty well. What this one is if you have like a million alts over here and you're running them with Bloxstrap, Bloxstrap is going to error out and say Roblox failed to launch or something when the CPU bottlenecks, because like with this cuts out so much memory. It doesn't really matter how much RAM you have. What really matters is your CPU usage. So once your CPU gets bottlenecked, you're going to get a lot of failed launches, and this right here will just close out the error tab. It's like if this is a Bloxstrap window and it says it failed to launch, you're going to have to click OK on here before another Bloxstrap window can start up. So basically the error message from Bloxstrap blocks other Bloxstrap boot things from loading Roblox. They'll just be waiting and waiting. So this just auto dismisses that, rather than forcing you to manually click it off. So I could select a billion alts here and just click play, and whichever ones can join will join, whichever ones fail won't. So that's pretty much everything you need to run a 23 by 23 on Rogue Lineage. I hope you found the video helpful if you're trying to do that. Oh yeah, also one more thing. When you download Alt Manager, you're going to want to make a file on your desktop and name it whatever. Put Roblox Account Manager exe in here, because it's going to make all these different files right here. And instead, right click it, show more options, and create a shortcut which you can just throw into your desktop, which will not spawn all these files inside the desktop and mess everything up. My file explorer is lagging right now. Oh, there it is. So with that, you'll just take this, throw it into your desktop like that. And that's about everything. And also, when you're running the 23, you're going to want to put your alt accounts in trash loot spawns. So like, you're gonna want to put your alt at like Crypt or at Sentinel and stuff. All these different places, you're gonna want to move your alts to wherever artifacts don't spawn. So that's going to block the loot spawns and divert it to the actual artifact spots over here and here. And you're going to need to also pick up the trinkets once you block those spawns with your alts. So your alts will need to be spawned into the game to boost trinket rates and also block spawns. Otherwise, you just have a safe server. I mean, I had them all in menu, and only had like 5 alts in the game at Sky Castle. And that boosted the trinket rates like a crazy amount. I found 10 PDs today and a White Kings, as well as like a million Ice Essences. Get a server, of course, which you can do by finding a small, or you can create a locked server, which is hidden on the server list. To do that, you just need to keep blocking people over and over and rejoining until you create a new server, and then check on another account to see if you can even find that server on the server list. If you can't, you just made a locked server. And then, if you don't have a NASA CPU, just flood the server with all your alts. Click every single alt on account manager and just hit join or follow. Because if your CPU is not a demon at running stuff, it's just gonna crash a lot. So the links to all these tools will be in the description below. Hope you have fun making 23s and finding MAs, rifts, and whatever.